Alright everyone, there's a small bug in the program, so if you'll notice, this code here is lit up yellow. It's got this yellow outline around it, and that means that Scratch is still running it, even though the game's over. And look, oh, the bottle has arrived. The game's over, but the bottle just appeared. And that's a big problem, because we don't want that to happen. Here it is, look. So we don't want this. But why is it happening? Because isn't this only supposed to repeat until the game is over? Well, yes, but the problem is these waits in here. So suppose the game ends during this 5 to 20 second period. Then this loop is only going to stop when it finishes the 20 seconds, shows the bottle, does the bottle timeout, does the bottle disappear, and then realizes that the game is over. But here's another problem. By the time it does all that, it's often going to be the case that game doesn't equal over. Game equals long over. So we have to try and catch that. So one thing we can do straight away is we can put in an OR, and then we can put this in here. And if I duplicate it, I also put it in there. Now, if I've understood this correctly, then what this will do is it will stop the game from repeatedly bringing the bottle out after the game over sign has occurred. And in fact, you'll notice now that the bottle has stopped. That's because it's registering that the game is long over, and so the loop has been exited. There's no longer a yellow line around this. But I don't think it's going to stop the first one. So what's going to happen is, when you get killed by the ghost, it's going to come. The game over sign is going to come up. Bang. The bell rings. And then the bottles will appear and start ticking. But just for once only. And then it'll disappear for good. But I don't even want that. I don't want it to just appear even once after the game is over. Now, why would it appear once after the game is over? Because, again, if the game ends during this 5 to 20 second period here, then it has to finish doing all these things, which means showing the bottle, doing the bottle timeout, and then doing the bottle disappear, before it comes around and realizes, oh, everything's over, I need to stop. So I need to put a check in here, maybe 2 checks in here, to make sure that it doesn't go ahead if the game is ended. Alright, so we want to put in a test right after this wait. And this test is just there to make sure that when we get to the end of the wait, the game's still going on. So if game equals not over, then you can go ahead with this other stuff. But then we've got another wait right here. And so we've got to check after that something hasn't happened to end the game. So we're just going to do the same thing again. And, it's a shame to complicate nice code, but this is what we've got to do. So right after the wait, and I'll just kind of duplicate this. Put it in there. So now both of these things are going to check to see whether the game is not over before they go ahead. And if the game is over or long over, then it'll just skip all of that. And then it'll get to the back around to the top of the loop. And then it'll say, oh, I can stop repeating this now. So if the game ends in any of these waits, then this will catch it. That's the point of that. Okay, so I just did some playtesting, and I discovered that now it's not even starting the bottle at all. So the changes that we made have kind of messed up something else, and they've messed up the bottle starting its whole rhythm and routine. Now, what's the problem? Well, it's a timing problem. When the game starts and start bottle is called, and it says, hey, I'm going to repeat this until game is over or game is long over, it finds that game is still on long over from the previous game. And this is quite tricky to get your head around, so I actually made a little diagram to illustrate this. So here's the code side by side. And over here, at the top here, this is in the start game sprite. And it says when any key is pressed, if the game is long over, then broadcast start game. And as you know, the broadcast signal goes out to all these different sprites. So over here we have the wizard, and over here we have the bottle. And both of them receive start game, so they both start working in parallel. The wizard says, I'm going to start wizard, and the bottle says, I'm going to start bottle. Now note that game is still long over, because that hasn't changed yet. Nothing has changed it, so it isn't changed. So then the next thing the wizard does is it does its start wizard thing, wizard setup, check for damage. Game's still long over. This is defining start bottle. It hides the bottle, and then it says, okay, I'm going to repeat this until game is long over. Oh wait, game's already long over, so I guess I can complete this straight away. Meanwhile, over on the wizard side, wizard setup has started, and now we set game to not over. And so this is coming in too late to be ready for this over here. So these are kind of out of step with one another. The two sprites are not coordinated well. This is assuming that at the beginning of the game, not over, the game's already going to be set to not over. It's proceeding under that assumption, but in fact we haven't even got to the part yet where we define the game as not over. Now I think the problem is that this here is, well, as we said, it's coming too late, but it's also in the wrong place. This is a legacy of when we started coding, and we just had the wizard, so the wizard ended up doing everything. But this is really controlling the game, not controlling the wizard, and so it should be up here with start game. So that's what we're going to do to fix this. So I'm going to go to wizard, and this little thing here where it says set game to not over, I'm going to pull that out, throw it away, and then I'm going to go to start game, and when any key pressed, if game is long over, then I'm immediately going to set game to not over. So that's the very first thing that happens before this signal is even broadcast. And then I'm going to broadcast start game. So hopefully when that happens, the bottle should be back. And there it is. Took a little while to appear. So it had me kind of scared. But yep, that's great. So I will leave it there, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for listening, and if you find this video useful, please hit like and subscribe.